The French foreign minister says his country and the UK will send weapons to militants fighting the Syrian government, even if the EU objects. Laurent Fabius says it's Paris and London's, quote, duty to help the insurgents in their fight against Syrian President Bashar al-Assad. He says France and Britain will soon ask for an EU meeting for the immediate lifting of the arms embargo. The current embargo expires in May. EU countries, most notably Germany, are against arming the militants in Syria. Britain, on the other hand, has persuaded the EU to agree to relax its embargo to allow non-lethal but quasi-military aid such as body armor and armored vehicles to the armed opposition. For more insight on that story, we're now joined by Director of the Center for Middle East Studies, Mr. Hisham Jaber, who's joining us via satellite from the Lebanese capital, Beirut. Mr. Jaber, welcome to the program. Sir, how do you perceive the fact that the West, most notably France and the UK, including the United States, are getting more involved in the mix and are assuming a more direct role in the Syrian unrest?
It's not the first time that Britain and France provide weapons and expertise and training and intelligence services to the insurgents in Syria for more than 1 year. Everybody knows that on the borders between Syria and Turkey there are many groups, French of the intelligence services, and also from MI6, the British provide training and intelligence and also weapons to the insurgents in Syria. But now, since United States, will not provide, as we said for 1 year, that United States will change its policy. I think it's the role when United States cannot provide weapons to the insurgents in Syria, because we said for 1 year that United States will find at the end of the day that there is no military solution in Syria, and also on the other hand cannot convince the people of the United States that those weapons will not go on the hands of Al-Qaeda, which is according to them the first enemy to the United States. Now I think it's exchange of roles between United States and France and Britain. As you know, that 2 weeks ago, the opposition in Syria made many declarations that they have been disappointed by the Western countries who did not provide weapons, and including the United States. I think now they will continue to send weapons, even they know that those weapons may go on the hand of Al-Qaeda. And with the selection, to be more precise, as they said, they will provide armored vehicles and other kind of weapons, for example, which Al-Qaeda or the Muslim extremistic organization in Syria, including Jabhat al-Nusra, will not use them because they are making a guerrilla warfare. So those armored vehicles will be sent to the so-called Free Syrian Army. With the balance of force, I don't think it will be effective or convenient to them, because the Syrian National Army, the Syrian Army, is more equipped and more trained, and still have 80% or 75% of its military power and military potential, and has 12 divisions and 16 brigades. I think it's only for propaganda and for its political position, much more than a real, and effective and real threat, to the Syrian regime.
Sure. Mr. Jaber, one last question before we leave you. Many observers believe that the timing of this decision by the France and UK to snub the EU and call for more assistance to the militants comes as the Syrian military forces have been successful in flushing out the militants from major cities. Do you see it in that light as well?
No. I think the Syrian armed forces is still, as we said, have a lot of powers, and the insurgent claim from time to time to make control on some areas in the north of the country, like Al-Hasaka, Al-Riqqa, or something. But I believe, as a military, expert, that they don't have even a small area can pretend that it's a secure area or a buffer zone, can be, can claim that they can be protected in it, because the Syrian Air Force can hit them anytime. And of course, they did create, a climate of non-security in many regions in Syria, including some roads. But they cannot claim that they did, arrive to control any area. They are fighting, in Damascus and the suburb of Damascus, and and the southern region of Syria. There is, no real presence of them. And especially, let's go to the eastern, northeastern region of Syria, like Latakia, like Tartus, Safita, etc. No presence of those militants. They are working, of course, on the borders of Turkey, supported by the Turkish, somewhere on the borders of Iraq. I am talking about the corner, which is in the northeastern region in Syria.
Okay,
Besides this, their presence around Damascus is guerrilla, warfare. They hit and they go to hide somewhere. But the Syrian armed forces still having everything, in my opinion, in his hand.
Director of Center for Middle East Studies, Mr. Hisham Jaber from Beirut, thank you very much for joining us here on